In a shocking turn of events that captivated the entire city, a Miami police officer tried to intimidate a young black girl by seizing her father's luxury car, assuming she had stolen it. But he had no idea his actions would change everything. Within minutes, he would find himself in a desperate situation, pleading for forgiveness. What happened next was beyond belief. Breonna Davis, an 18-year-old high school senior, was in the driver's seat of her father's Tesla Model S, feeling the cool leather against her skin as she navigated through the sunlit streets of Coral Gables, Miami's prestigious neighborhood with stately mansions and perfectly manicured lawns. She had been on cloud nine since yesterday when she received her acceptance letter to Princeton University, her dream school. Her heart was light and she felt a deep sense of accomplishment. The Tesla's gentle electric hum accompanied her as her thoughts drifted to the endless possibilities her future held. College, new friends, and the thrill of a new beginning. Everything about the day felt perfect. Her father, Colonel Anthony Davis, a proud retired Marine, had given her the keys that morning with a proud smile. "Go out and celebrate. You've earned it," he'd said, granting her the rare honor of driving his prized vehicle. This was a gift, a mark of recognition for her hard work and dedication. As Breonna drove, memories of her father's pride flashed in her mind. When she showed him her acceptance letter, he'd hugged her tightly, whispering, "You did it." The warm memory stayed with her as she passed rows of palm trees and elegant homes, feeling as though nothing could bring her down. But her perfect day took a sudden turn when she noticed flashing blue and red lights in her rearview mirror. Startled, Breonna quickly glanced at her speedometer. She hadn't been speeding, nor had she violated any traffic rules. Confused, she cautiously pulled over, her heart beginning to race. The police cruiser parked directly behind her, and as she tried to calm her nerves, a heavy-set officer stepped out. Officer James O'Connor, a veteran with a reputation for his harsh demeanor, approached her window with a hard look. Without so much as a greeting, he demanded, "License and registration." Breonna, keeping her voice steady though her hands trembled, replied, "Of course, officer." She handed over her license and asked, "May I ask why I was pulled over?" Officer O'Connor barely acknowledged her question, glancing only briefly at her documents before his eyes darted suspiciously between her and the car. "This car is registered to an Anthony Davis," he said, his tone sharp. "Who's that?" "That's my father," Breonna replied, trying to keep calm. "He let me borrow the car today to celebrate. I just got accepted to Princeton." But O'Connor interrupted with a scoff. "Yeah, right. Step out of the vehicle." Breonna's heart sank. "Excuse me, officer, I'm telling you the truth. You can call my father." "I said step out of the car," O'Connor demanded, his hand resting on his belt, signaling he meant business. Shaking, Breonna unbuckled her seatbelt and stepped out onto the sidewalk. The officer grabbed her arm, spinning her around as he forced her to place her hands on the hood. "Turn around, hands on the car," he barked. Her heart raced as confusion and fear took hold. She knew she hadn't done anything wrong. A small crowd gathered nearby, watching in concern and disbelief as O'Connor slapped handcuffs onto her wrists. "Officer, please," Breonna pleaded, her voice trembling. "There's been a mistake. Just call my father." But O'Connor silenced her with a growl. "You're in serious trouble now, Missy. This car's getting impounded, and you're coming with me." Tears filled her eyes as her father's car, the symbol of his pride in her, was about to be towed. Desperation filled her as she managed to pull out her phone, calling her father. "Dad, I need your help," she choked out. "They think I stole your car." On the other end, there was a brief, heavy silence. Then, in a controlled voice filled with anger, her father asked, "Where are you?" She told him her location, and within minutes, the deep rumble of a black SUV announced his arrival. Colonel Davis stepped out, his imposing presence unmistakable as he strode toward the officer with unwavering purpose. O'Connor's smug demeanor evaporated when he realized who was approaching. He recognized Colonel Davis, a man respected for his military career and known for his integrity. "You just made the biggest mistake of your life," Davis growled, his voice low and controlled. The officer's face paled. "Colonel Davis, I didn't know." "You didn't bother to ask," Davis snapped, his voice cold. "Unlock those cuffs, now." Shaking, O'Connor scrambled to unlock the cuffs. The once arrogant officer was now trembling, understanding the weight of his mistake. Bystanders recorded the scene, whispering among themselves, shocked by what had unfolded. Davis pulled Brianna into a protective embrace, softly asking, "Are you okay, sweetheart?" She nodded, but her body still shook with the shock. O'Connor stood paralyzed, his earlier confidence replaced by regret and fear. As the tow truck driver prepared to leave with the Tesla, Colonel Davis signaled him to stop. "That car isn't going anywhere," he said firmly, and the driver complied without hesitation. Colonel Davis turned back to O'Connor. "I'm filing a formal complaint. You'll be hearing from my lawyers, and this won't be swept under the rug." O'Connor, understanding his career was now hanging by a thread, nodded weakly, his arrogance replaced by dread. The next day, footage of the incident spread across social media, sparking outrage in Miami. Community leaders, civil rights groups, and activists rallied around Brianna, demanding justice and reforms to address racial profiling. True to his word, Colonel Davis filed a lawsuit against the Miami Police Department, pushing for systemic changes. The case ignited a wave of reforms, leading to improved police training on handling traffic stops and racial sensitivity. Officer O'Connor faced disciplinary actions, eventually resigning in disgrace, becoming a symbol of the broken system. For Brianna, the experience was deeply traumatic, yet transformative. With her father's support and the community's backing, she became a leading voice in Miami's movement for justice and police reform. Weeks later, she stood before a large crowd at a community event, speaking with strength about her ordeal, hoping her story would inspire change. "I don't want anyone else to go through what I did," she declared. The crowd erupted in applause, a testament to her resilience and courage. Her voice had once been silenced by fear and humiliation, but now it was a beacon for change. Months later, as Brianna prepared to leave for Princeton, she and her father shared a moment in the same Tesla that had once symbolized her ordeal. Now it represented her resilience. "Are you ready for the next chapter, sweetheart?" Colonel Davis asked as they arrived at the airport. Brianna smiled, confident and ready for the journey ahead. She had faced injustice and transformed it into a mission for good. Hugging her father goodbye, she knew her story was far from over. It was just beginning.